New York, the city that never sleeps, the city that charges rent for dreams. And today, it's my battlefield. $20. That's all I have. No credit cards, no backup, no free passes, just a single green bill standing between me and one of the most expensive cities on earth. The challenge is simple. Survive one full day in New York City with $20 and still feel alive while doing it. It sounds impossible, but maybe that's what makes it beautiful. I wake up before the city does. The streets outside are still quiet, just a soft hum of early taxis, a lone siren somewhere in the distance, and the rhythmic breathing of a city that's about to start sprinting again. I check my wallet. It's light, but not empty. That single $20 bill looks like a dare. There's a rule I set for myself. No skipping meals, no begging, no tricks. Just $20 used wisely. So I take a deep breath, step outside, and let New York test me. The first goal is simple: breakfast. You can't conquer Manhattan on an empty stomach. Every corner has something that smells good: roasted coffee, bagels, bacon, and the unmistakable scent of street carts setting up. But here, temptation comes with a price tag. A fancy cafe latte, $7. A croissant, $4. That's half my budget gone before 9 a.m. So instead, I follow the steam rising from a corner deli, the kind of place where the workers already know half the neighborhood. The glass door jingles, and inside, the smell of coffee is raw, real, and unbranded. The man behind the counter nods, already reaching for a bagel. One coffee, one plain bagel, cream cheese, I say. He moves like muscle memory and scoop, toast, spread. $3, he says. I hand him the bill, and he hands me change that feels like survival. The first sip of coffee hits hard. Not perfect, not smooth, but strong. The bagel is warm and slightly chewy, cream cheese melting into every bite. It's not fancy, but it's New York in edible form. Simple, quick, alive. $17 left. I walk toward the subway, the morning light bouncing off car windows, steam rising from manholes like the city's breath. The station is crowded, as always. People in suits, people in hoodies, people half asleep but moving with purpose. I load $5.90 onto a MetroCard. 2 rides. One to get into the city, one to get back. $14 left. The train rattles through the dark, graffiti flashes by, and I think about how every person here paid more for their shoes than I have to last the day. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the freedom isn't in what you buy, it's in what you choose to notice. I get off near the Brooklyn Bridge. The air hits different here, fresher, wider. The bridge stretches out in front of me like a story waiting to be crossed. Every city has its symbol, and this is New York's handshake. I start walking, the skyline growing larger with every step. Cars roar underneath, cyclists speed by, and tourists stop to take photos. But I'm not here for photos. I'm here to feel what it means to move forward when you don't have much. To walk a bridge built by ambition with only $20 in my pocket. Halfway across, I stop and look back. Brooklyn behind me, Manhattan ahead. It feels poetic, leaving behind where you start, chasing what you can't afford but still want to touch. I reach the other side, feet a little sore, but heart lighter. The bridge leads straight into downtown Manhattan. Skyscrapers stabbing the sky, people everywhere, food carts, taxis, noise. This is where the city shows its real price. But I'm not buying what it's selling. I wander, taking it in. Wall Street's cold glass towers, the hum of ambition, the rhythm of footsteps. Everyone's chasing something. Money, success, time. I'm chasing value. The clock hits noon and hunger whispers again. Time for lunch. You can't talk about New York food without talking about pizza. And if you know where to look, it's still the cheapest masterpiece in the city. A neon sign blinks $1 slice. That's all I need to see. Inside, it's chaos. The smell of tomato sauce, the hiss of the oven, people shouting orders over the counter. I get 2 slices and a can of soda for $5 flat. That's $5 gone, 9 o'clock left. I sit on a curb outside, holding my paper plate like a throne. The first bite is everything you expect. Hot, cheesy, greasy, perfect. New York pizza doesn't care about your wallet, it just feeds you. As I eat, I look around. Everyone's rushing, a courier eating while running, a banker yelling into a phone, a tourist lost in a map. But right now, I'm not rushing anywhere. For the first time today, I feel rich. Not in money, but in freedom. I finish the last bite, wipe my hands on a napkin, and keep walking. The city feels different when you're watching instead of chasing. I wander north, past Broadway, through blocks of energy and history. The afternoon sun hits the buildings, reflecting golden light into every street. And for a moment, I forget I'm broke.
The city at noon feels like a heartbeat that's too loud to ignore. The horns, the chatter, the sound of heels clicking on the pavement, everything moves faster than your thoughts. This is the hour when New York shows you who's boss. I walk north, following no map, just instinct and sunlight. My stomach is satisfied, but my curiosity is starving. $9 left. Every block here tells a different story. An old bookstore squeezed between glass towers, a jazz saxophone echoing from a subway grate, a street artist painting the skyline he can't afford to live in. That's New York. It's never quiet, but it's never boring. I pass City Hall Park, a small patch of green breathing in the middle of concrete chaos. Couples sit on benches, workers eat sandwiches, and pigeons act like they own the place. I sit too, just to rest my feet. The bench costs nothing, but it feels luxurious, shade, breeze, and a break from the rush. Across from me, a man plays guitar. His voice is rough, honest. He's not singing for fame, he's singing for rent, for attention, maybe just for the rhythm. I dig into my pocket and drop $1 into his open case. $8 left. For a second, he looks up, nods, keeps playing. I realize generosity isn't only for the rich. It's for anyone who remembers what it feels like to be seen. I stand and start walking again, toward the subway that leads to Central Park. The train rumbles through tunnels older than most dreams. I use my second and final ride, the card beeps, the gate clicks, and I'm in. $5.05 left. The train sways and screeches, and I think about how every person here is paying a different price for the same ride, not in money, but in what they're chasing. When I emerge, I'm met with the kind of sight you never get used to, green stretching endlessly, framed by towers of glass and steel. Central Park, the lungs of the city. Free, open, and alive. I step onto the path and start walking. Joggers pass me, families feed ducks, artists sketch strangers. It's strange, this place feels nothing like the New York people imagine. It's quiet, almost gentle. I sit by the lake and watch rowboats drift slowly. The wind carries laughter from somewhere far. And for a few minutes, I forget the numbers, the math, the worry. It's just me, the city, and time, the only currency that's truly mine. Hunger comes back around 4 in the afternoon. I still have $5. I could stretch it, find a small snack and save the rest for dinner. So I walk out of the park and follow the smell of roasted nuts. A street vendor stands beside a shining metal cart, scooping almonds into little paper bags. $2, he says. I nod. $3 left. The nuts are sweet, warm, and smell like every holiday I've ever missed. I eat them slowly, savoring each one like it's worth more than it is. Maybe value isn't about price, it's about pace. I keep walking down Fifth Avenue, where luxury screams from every window. Designer stores, diamond lights, people carrying bags that cost more than my rent. And here I am, walking past it all with $3 in my pocket, and a quiet smile. Because the truth is, it doesn't feel bad. It feels freeing. When you can't buy anything, you start to notice everything. The reflection of clouds in the windows, the rhythm of crosswalk signals, the random kindness of someone holding a door. That's wealth, too. Just invisible. I reach Rockefeller Center. Tourists are taking photos by the fountain, laughing, posing. I join them, not for a selfie, but to see the world through their excitement. They're not rich either, most of them. They just saved for this moment. And right now, I'm living it for the cost of air. I sit on the edge of the fountain, finish the last of the nuts, and feel a tiny ache in my feet, the price of exploring a city that measures itself in miles and moments. $3 left. The sun begins to tilt, pouring gold onto the streets. Evening is on its way. And with it, a new question: where does a broke traveler go when night falls? I start heading south again, walking instead of paying for another ride. I can't afford the subway now, but the streets are still open to me. The city changes as I move. Business suits fade into casual shirts, tourists turn into locals, lights start to blink awake. I pass Bryant Park, another green miracle in a concrete world. People are reading, playing chess, listening to an outdoor concert. I stop for a while, not because it costs anything, but because it feels like everything. The music floats through the air, soft, unplanned. For a moment, I forget I'm on a budget. It feels like the city is giving me a gift, the kind that doesn't show up on receipts. The sky starts to turn orange, then pink, then deep blue. That's when I realize, I've survived most of the day on less than the price of a movie ticket. And somehow, it doesn't feel like surviving. It feels like learning how to live small but feel big. The streetlights flicker on. I've got $3 to my name. Enough for dinner, if I'm smart. I head toward Midtown, where the scent of food carts starts to fill the air again. Grilled meat, rice, onions, and that unmistakable garlic sauce that every New Yorker secretly craves. Halal carts, the city's equalizer. The man at the cart smiles when I ask for a small plate. $5, he says. I hesitate. Can you do just chicken and rice, no drink, small portion? He looks at me for a second, then nods. 3. I hand him the last of my money. 0 left. He fills the box with steaming rice and a generous scoop of chicken. He adds white sauce, a little hot sauce. The smell alone feels like a win. I sit on a nearby bench and take the first bite. It's perfect, spicy, warm, filling. The kind of meal that doesn't know or care how much money you have. And that's when it hits me. I've done it. The entire day, breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner, and a city's worth of beauty, all with a single $20 bill. But the day isn't over yet. The night is coming, and New York at night is a whole different animal. The lights, the noise, the skyline, they're free, but they make you feel like you've paid for a front row seat to life itself. I pack up my empty box, toss it in the bin, and start walking toward Times Square. I have no money left, but I still feel rich. The sky is now an electric navy blue, pierced by lights that refuse to fade. New York doesn't ease into night, it explodes into it. I walk with the crowd, carried forward by energy that feels both chaotic and comforting. Times Square. It's not a destination, it's an experience that happens to you. Screens bigger than buildings, faces from every corner of the world, and the constant sound of life shouting at full volume. I stand at the center, where Broadway crosses 7th Avenue, and look up. The light from the billboards paints my face in shifting colors: blue, red, white, gold. Every advertisement screams for attention, but all I can think about is how strange it feels to stand here broke but free. Around me, people are laughing, eating, taking photos. Tourists buy souvenirs. Street performers pose for tips. Somewhere nearby, a rapper freestyles about the crowd, his voice bouncing off the buildings. I don't have $1 to give him, but I stay and listen anyway. Because sometimes attention is its own currency. There's a strange peace in knowing there's nothing left to spend. No decisions, no math, no temptation. I'm broke, but I've already paid for the day in effort, in movement, in curiosity. A little boy tugs at his mother's hand, pointing at a Spider-Man performer. A food vendor laughs with a couple in matching jackets. A man on a bicycle blasts music as he weaves through the crowd. This isn't chaos, it's choreography. And I'm just another dancer, moving through it. I find a spot at the edge of the sidewalk and sit down, back against a concrete barrier. The ground vibrates slightly from the subway lines beneath. I close my eyes, and even through my eyelids, I can see the lights. For a few minutes, I let the city just happen around me. No camera, no plan, no worry. Just the hum of New York existing at full volume. When I open my eyes again, I notice something small, the way strangers keep helping each other here, quietly, invisibly. Someone picks up a dropped wallet. A woman holds a stroller steady for a stranger on the curb. A delivery guy shares directions with a lost tourist. The city might look ruthless from far away, but up close, it's surprisingly kind. I decide to walk again. No destination, just forward. The air smells like roasted nuts, car exhaust, and perfume. It's a scent only New York could invent. I pass through the theater district, where posters for musicals stretch from wall to wall. People line up, dressed in their best, holding printed tickets. I can't afford a seat tonight, but I slow down near the doors just as the music starts inside. The sound leaks out, a single, soaring note from an unseen stage, and for a second, I'm part of it. This city is loud, proud, and expensive, but moments like this cost nothing. They just ask you to listen. Farther uptown, I find a quiet street with brownstone buildings glowing softly under old street lamps. It feels like stepping out of a movie, the kind of neighborhood where the pace slows, and conversations turn into whispers. I sit on the steps of an empty stoop and take out my phone. No internet, no data, just an offline map. The battery's low, but I don't care. I check the time, it's 9:15 p.m. 13 hours since I started this day with $20. Zero left, but somehow, I don't feel empty. I feel grounded. There's something humbling about learning how little you actually need to feel full. A few kids skate past, laughing. Someone's dog barks at the echo of a bus braking. And overhead, a plane blinks through the night sky, carrying hundreds of people chasing something somewhere else. But right now, I don't want to be anywhere else. I start walking again, heading toward the river. The closer I get, the quieter it becomes. The city's soundtrack fades, horns, sirens, shouts, replaced by the low murmur of water and the whisper of wind between buildings. By the time I reach the Hudson River, the night feels alive in a gentler way. Reflections shimmer on the water, gold, blue, red, a mosaic of light that moves with the tide. The city skyline across the water looks unreal, like a painting that never stops changing. I lean against the railing and just breathe. All day, I've been surrounded by noise and motion, and now, finally, there's silence. Not empty silence, peaceful silence. And I realize something simple. Maybe money buys convenience, but moments like this, they belong to anyone who shows up. Behind me, a couple walks hand in hand, sharing a single hot dog from a paper napkin. A man jogs by, nods politely. Someone's radio plays faint jazz. It's all ordinary. And that's what makes it special. The clock on my phone glows 10:02 p.m. The temperature drops slightly. I zip up my jacket and keep walking along the waterfront. There's no plan left, just movement. Each step feels heavier but more meaningful. I think about how this day started. A nervous laugh, a $20 bill, a challenge. Now, it feels like a quiet victory. Not because I beat the city, but because I learned how to dance with it. Most people come here chasing big dreams, giant moments. But today, I found that New York's beauty hides in the smallest ones: a $3 meal, a free bridge, a bench, a sunset. Things anyone can afford if they're paying attention. I stop at a railing, looking out across the river one last time. The skyline glows like ambition itself, untouchable but inspiring. The Empire State Building flickers in red and white, proud and stubborn against the dark. I whisper quietly to myself, "This is enough." And for once, I believe it. The city doesn't give you peace easily. You have to earn it, not with money, but with presence. And tonight, standing here with nothing left in my pocket, I feel like I've finally earned it. The city never sleeps, that's what they say. But standing here, watching the lights flicker and the wind ripple through the river, I think maybe it does, just with one eye open. New York hums differently at night. The roar turns into a whisper. You start hearing things that were drowned out during the day, your own thoughts, the sound of sneakers scraping the sidewalk, the low buzz of power lines that run endlessly through the city's veins. I walk again. No map, no goal, just instinct. It feels strange to be led by nothing but curiosity in a place so defined by ambition. Every streetlight becomes a checkpoint of thought. Every passing taxi, a reminder that the world keeps moving even when your wallet stops. I pass by an all-night deli, fluorescent, buzzing, alive with tired energy. A man behind the counter hums softly to a Spanish song on the radio. I step in, not to buy anything, just to stand in the warmth. The air smells of coffee, sugar, and the comfort of routine. Rows of candy bars, lottery tickets, and glossy magazines line the counter, symbols of small hope, small pleasure. A woman in scrubs buys a sandwich, her eyes look exhausted, but she smiles at the man ringing her up. There's a quiet beauty in that, how life keeps happening, quietly, even when no one's filming it. I step back out into the cool night air, and the silence feels softer now. The hunger that used to sting has turned into something gentler, a reminder that discomfort isn't always pain, sometimes it's presence. Sometimes it's the proof that you're alive. I think about what $20 really meant today. It wasn't money, it was a lens. It made me see the city differently, not as a playground of luxury, but as a map of survival, simplicity, and connection. With $20, you can't buy much, but you can notice everything. You notice how the man sweeping the sidewalk pauses to nod at you. You notice how the subway musician keeps playing even when no one stops to tip. You notice how the city's heart beats through its people, not its prices. And suddenly, you realize, the real wealth of New York isn't in its skyline or its stores. It's in the way it teaches you to find meaning in motion, to build stories out of seconds. I reach Central Park again, this time from the opposite end. It's nearly midnight. The lamps glow golden against the trees, and the paths are nearly empty. Only a few joggers, a couple walking a dog, and me, the wanderer with empty pockets and a full mind. I sit on a bench. The wood is cold but familiar, like a friend who doesn't talk much but always listens. From here, the city looks almost still. The buildings rise like monuments to human willpower, each one a story of someone who didn't quit. And then it hits me, that's what this city is built on. Not money, not fame, not luxury, persistence. The simple act of getting up every day and moving forward, even when it's hard. Today, I joined that rhythm, even for just one day. I walked, I listened, I struggled, I learned. And somehow, that feels like more than enough. I think about everyone chasing something here, the actor waiting tables, the cab driver sending money home, the student studying at 2 a.m. under a streetlight. Every one of them is fighting the same quiet battle, to matter. To exist fully, even when it costs them everything. Maybe that's the city's real magic. It tests you. It pushes you to the edge, then shows you something beautiful right before you give up. A breeze passes through the park, carrying the smell of rain and metal. I look up, clouds drifting over skyscrapers, turning their reflections into moving art. It's surreal. For a moment, I imagine the city breathing with me, inhaling light, exhaling stories. I whisper to myself again. This is New York. And this time, I say it not as an observation, but as a realization. I stand, stretch, and start walking toward the nearest subway. The trains run all night, another reason this city never dies. I descend the steps, the familiar rush of air rising from below, the hum of distant wheels. Down here, it's quieter but alive, like the city's heartbeat under the surface. I watch as the train arrives, lights flickering on its steel body. The doors open with a sigh. I step in. The car is mostly empty, a man asleep in one corner, headphones still in his ears. A woman reading a paperback, her head swaying gently with the train's rhythm. A tired worker holding a bag of groceries. All strangers, but all part of the same living organism. The train moves. The city slides by in streaks of orange and silver. Each station name echoes like a poem: 14th Street, 23rd, 34th, 42nd. Numbers, but also memories. I think about the $20 again. The coffee, the bagel, the museum, the bridge, the walk. Every choice stretched it further, not by luck, but by attention. Because when you slow down enough to notice, the city gives you more than you ask for. The train stops. I step out into the night air again, this time, near the river, where I started my evening. The air is cooler now, the city quieter. I walk to the railing, same spot as before. The skyline stands tall, proud, endless, indifferent. But tonight, it feels less like a stranger and more like a teacher. It taught me that survival isn't about having enough, it's about knowing what enough feels like. And tonight, enough feels like this. A day lived fully. A heart that noticed. A city that gave me everything without asking for more than attention. I look out one last time, whispering the simplest truth I've learned today. You can't buy meaning, but you can earn it. The lights shimmer across the water. The breeze moves through my hair. The hum of the city continues, distant, eternal. My $20 are gone. But I don't feel broke anymore. I feel rich in the only currency that lasts, experience. Because in New York, even with nothing, you still have the world. And as I walk away from the water, the skyline behind me fading into the mist, I smile. Not because I conquered the city, but because, for one single day, it let me belong.